And that is a big cheer from this handsome Scottish crowd for the home favourite. One of the greats, of course, of the game. Nothing left to prove, but that said, maybe he still wants to prove something to himself because, Neil, he's had trouble recently, hasn't he, converting winning positions?
Yes, he has, but I think he'd be fancying winning today, so we'll look forward to seeing him in action against Oliver Brown. John Higgins will be a strong favourite to get this job done. Let's see how this match transpires.
Oliver Brown from Derbyshire getting us underway in this best-of-7 frame match. First of 4 to go through. The winner to play He Guojiang, a new Chinese professional, who, by the way, currently occupies the 32nd and final spot for the World Grand Prix coming into this tournament. And that, of course, takes place in the new year, straight after the Masters. This is the final qualifying event, of course. It's the final event of 2023. So there's still a lot to be decided in that regard. Oliver Brown, who's 29 years of age. He won the European Amateur title in 2021 in Portugal to turn professional.
That's where it's tough for someone like Oliver Brown. He's on the show table, but he's on there because of who he's playing. And that's why these Home Nations events, it can be difficult for players like Oliver who are trying to come through. Because I don't know if they'd rather be on the match table. They probably would, but not necessarily playing John Higgins. So it's kind of a double whammy of it being difficult opponent and conditions they might not be quite used to. Usually means back to the wall effort, as we saw with Sydney Wilson, who was well beaten. With Oliver Brown, he is a main tour player, of course. Anyway, he's getting an early chance here because Higgins got that all wrong. So I suppose if he's going to got any ideas about winning this match, he needs to start well, put pressure on Higgins from this moment onwards.
Enjoyed a victory at last week's shootout in Swansea. He beat Alan Taylor before losing to eventual champion Mark Allen, so no shame in that.
Just wonder if he would consider playing the black here, because I didn't play on the black. Pink to middle, I suppose he's the shot he did play on. If he can hold for the reds, he'll certainly play the pink. Nicely done, that. Retrieved position straight away where he went a bit too far on the red, but that's because clearly, you know, he has no feel for the table yet, which I'm sure is running quick. That's a nice shot too. So encouraging start.
And we have seen quite a few of the leading lights fall by the wayside already today. Mark Williams, of course, that brilliant comeback performance from Sam Craigie. Barry Hawkins, like Williams, a ranking titleist this season. Sean Murphy was beaten handsomely by Liu Hongyu, 4-1. Oh, the in-off. That's exactly what Oliver Brown didn't need after an encouraging start. Same for Fye losing to Daniel Wells. And Rob Milkins, one of the players of last season, Welsh Open champion, of course, and European bonus winner. He was whitewashed by the veteran Mark Davis, so a number of the big names have bowed out early. Oh, goodness, that's incredible. Somehow Higgins has contrived to overcut that red.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much over the pocket, and the interesting thing about that shot is that the cue ball has finished right down in the top right-hand corner of the table. Played it with the trace of left-hand side, misjudged it. Cushion first here. He's just sort of tiptoeing round. Is he on the pink? He is, and he'll have to play it. Another early chance. The in-off, I guess, was a bit unlucky, but he didn't really catch the blue into the bunch quite right. Well, he wouldn't have got it off had he done so. But it can be a distant memory if he can make something of this chance.
Pete. Thirteen. 14.
Well, if he's playing the left-hand red, he's not quite
19.
on it. It's a very potable, but it's about a half ball. Almost a cutback. That is why he's playing this one instead. That's beautifully played.
20.
Needless to say, Brown is going to need some really good results between now and the end of the season if he's to retain his professional status. He's in the second year of his tour card. He comes into this tournament in the 90s.
I think that's okay. I think they've already nudged out. He's now very potable. He had the slight angle. The cue ball just bounced its way through the reds.
26. 27.
So a handy advantage.
32.
Now that he's got this far, it's imperative he takes it across the line in the frame. John's not really settled yet.
33.
And there are short matches best of 7, and John knows that. He knows he's got to have his wits about him early on. But right now he's just sitting and watching.
Likely that Higgins was going to get in after the in-off from
39.
his opponent, but of course he overcut that red to the right corner, and that's allowed Brown this second bite of the cherry. This is the red in question. It's not quite as easy as that camera shot makes it look, actually, but you would still have expected Higgins to pot it.
Yeah, I think he played it with left-hand side to send the cue ball away from the other reds, but for that reason, he ended up missing a pretty easy shot. Anyway, 49 the difference, plenty
46.
still on. Still 75 available.
Yes, and he's up against
47.
surely the greatest player of all time when it comes to clearing up from this kind of deficit. So he'll be wary of the need to maintain absolute concentration to make sure Higgins doesn't have enough points for an effective counter-attack.
$53.
Yeah, so this red and pretty much high-value colour. Annoyed, I think, that he's got to really stretch on this. He can barely reach it. Look at the length of the bridge there. Not comfortable, this. Anyway, didn't stop him.
54.
And that kiss will do him as well. So it's all going pretty swimmingly early on here for Oliver Brown. As long as he pots his next colour. And another red, I think, to follow it will be enough. That will be taking him to the first frame.
So Higgins needs a snooker. Brown will feel
60.
he wants another red, though, to make absolutely sure. Which hasn't gone in.
Oliver Brown, 60.
So breaker 60, but not quite decisive, given that it's only one snooker to tie. Higgins has had good enough results this season to be 13th on the list regarding the World Grand Prix, so no worries there, and he's looking good for the Players' Championship at least as well. But as regards the provisional end-of-season rankings, he's actually outside the top 16. And he's been there uninterrupted since 1995, so there's a bit of work for Higgins to do between now and the Crucible. Of course, 2 seasons ago he made 5 major finals but didn't win one.
Yes, and as you say, some of the points will be coming off tournament by tournament for that one. Of course, I guess the biggest sickener was when he was 9-4 up in that Tour Championship final. Lost 10-9. Those points will be coming off at the end of the season. And it's kind of the Neil Robertson factor, isn't it? You want to be in the tournaments at least to try and defend the points.
14.
Robertson looks as if he won't be in any of these events he won 2 years ago. Such is the nature of the tour
15.
and structure of these qualification for some of the events in the new year. It's on your performances this season, not last, or any other.
You certainly wouldn't count him out in this frame yet, though, by any means.
21.
No, if he can get the snooker is one thing, but he really could do with the red going close to a bolt colour. Nice. Has he covered the right side is the question.
So 42 the difference with only 35 left. It is 2 snookers, but clearly still some jeopardy here for Brown, despite that break of 60.
I mean, you can't really see him leaving a free ball here, should he miss. But of course, if he was to go into the brown, I suppose it is possible. Depending on the pace, of course. Always looked good, didn't it, on the way? And it was good.
What an excellent hit that was. Acknowledge with a little tap on the table from Higgins. Could not have played that any better. Might be in trouble again, though. That's where you want the object ball in this situation if you're Higgins. In the centre of the table and adjacent to a colour. And And this is going to be a free
John
ball.
Higgins for
Well, that's
free
changed
ball.
things for sure.
Well, indeed, now that he can play the brown, get the brown on its spot, if he can land behind a high-value colour from it as well. All of a sudden, the door has been opened for Higgins.
So the brown's an extra red. Hard to imagine a more painful frame to lose than one in which you've made of 60 and you've had your opponent needing a couple of snookers.
One.
Question is, to the left middle, perhaps. I think if he was to come the pink and try and pot it, of course, should he then find out he's not on it, he's got the guaranteed snooker. He's played the can instead, and he's played it to perfection.
New favourite. Extraordinary how quickly things can turn around. Brown played a great escape from the snooker, but there was clearly the danger that Higgins could put him in trouble again. He did. And of course, crucially, got the free ball. Some rather uncomfortable moments coming up for that man. Higgins equally knows how much of a setback it would be for his opponent were he to pinch this frame from the position he was in.
He'd love to be a bit straighter on this. He's just got a bit of an angle, so he's got to come in and out of bulk. Can't avoid that. Played it a fairly safe way. He couldn't get right in behind the yellow this way, but he was always going to be on it.
12.
And Brown will also be thinking back to how his break of 60 ended, albeit that that's not ideal for Higgins. He had a very potable red, which had he got it, would definitely have been the end of the frame as it is. Could still be taken from him. And it's gone in.
Very good shot. Played it plain ball, just to hold it.
70. $21.
Well, John Higgins has made a career out of coming from behind, as he's done in this frame. Not always requiring a couple of snookers along the way, but what a competitor he is. And until you've got that extra insurance of a bonus red to put him out of reach, you're always in some danger. So this black for a very significant steal and a real psychological blow for that man. Right in the middle, the crowd approve. Oliver Brown will feel otherwise. He made a nice 60, he didn't quite kill the frame. Higgins needed 2 snookers, but he got a free ball, and he's cleared up, as he does, to lead by 1-0. The Brown recover from the circumstances in which he lost that opening frame. He looked nailed on for 1-0 against the great John Higgins. Made a break of 60. Higgins needed 2 snookers at one stage. Brown got out of the first one superbly. But with the second, not only did he miss, he left a free ball. And Higgins, twice a Scottish Open finalist, did the rest. So that's a big setback, which he's got to try and get out of his mind. We heard him in conversation with Alan McManus ahead of this match. He was very much looking forward to the chance to play Higgins. But he's had an early reminder that against these true greats of the game, you always need the extra insurance of a couple of pots beyond the snooker's required stage, otherwise you're still in trouble, and so it proved.
Yeah, especially against someone like Higgins or Mark Selby. They're the ones that you would still fancy the job at that point. I had a nice view of it. I thought it might drop in off the top jaw, but it stayed up there.
1.
I'm not sure what he played on there, but the red to middle is... Can't imagine he played on that red. It's a fairly sort of half ball, not a very thick angle. He's got cue ball running around off a couple of cushions for the black. Yeah. It wasn't very nice where he landed. It was never a particularly nice shot to play those, especially when you're trying to hold the cue ball for his neck colour as well.
John Higgins' season didn't really get going last time out. It took him until the WST Classic, a new event late in the season ahead of the World Championship, for him to make a ranking quarter-final. And then at the Crucible, having demolished Kyron Wilson, he was 4-1 up on Mark Selby, but only won 3 more frames. This season, his results have been a lot more consistent, but once again lacking that killer instinct that he's been synonymous with down the years. He's lost a lot of tight matches that he looked like winning. Ronnie O'Sullivan, he was 5-2 up in the quarter-final in Shanghai and lost 6-5. Twice he's been in front against Trump in a best of 11 and ended up on the losing side, including the English Open when he was 3 up with 4 to play. So there have been some hurtful losses in there for Higgins once again this season. At times he's looked as good as ever. It's just been a case of trying to find that old consistency round after round.
Got to be a bit watchful here. If he's playing off the side of the bunch, push the red near the pocket, and also the cue ball can hit it too thick, go close to the right middle pocket. No, he's played it not badly.
He does boast a 5-0 victory over Ding, Oliver Brown. That was in Ding's home tournament, Wuxi Classic, back in 2014. Oh, he's found one. It wasn't intended. Held his hand up.
Well, yeah, the half-ball clip on the black was something he had no knowledge of.
Not that that's stopped him playing a nasty snooker. Just to rub salt into Oliver Brown's wound. No doubt still licking his wounds from the previous frame. reds are quite open here, so Oliver Brown's got to take a lot of care that in hitting a red, he doesn't leave one for Higgins. At least he's left the cue ball close to the side cushion. Higgins having a look to see if this cuts. It's pretty thin.
Yeah, I think it cuts in. It's almost like a bit of a mini Steve Davis 85 final black, isn't it? It's not quite like that, but it was the same sort of a cut into the same pocket. The object ball was further away from the pocket, but it was one of those. Steve's was more difficult than that, mind.
I remember Gary Lineker likening Steve Davis's miss on that black to Tiger Woods missing a 2-foot putt, which I thought was a bit harsh, because when you consider everything that had gone before that final black for Davis, having been 9-1 up at one stage, it was a wonder that he could get to the table and play a shot at that stage of the final. It's extraordinary, wasn't it?
Two things I'll say about that, and you know, we are going back a long time now while this match is ongoing, but I think he probably thought to himself, it's a thin cut black. I want to make sure I don't hit it too thick, so I'll make sure I cut it nice and thin. And of course he overdid it. And the other thing is, we set the shot up again a few years later, the reconstruction, and the potted angle, it sends the cue ball very close to in off in the yellow pocket. Anyway, this is the shot he's faced with here. Yeah.
14, John Higgins, 6. Oliver Brown.
The shot before, he wasn't very happy with his position. And I didn't see what the foul was, but it was one, clearly. Let's have a little look. Was it a 6-point penalty? If so, of course, he's obviously hit the pink.
He certainly overcut that red by a wide margin, because it careered straight into the other reds. There was room for it, clearly, but...
No, just the last thing I'll say on that. Anyone who ever looks on YouTube and tries to recreate the... oh, no, he hit the pink on the way through with the cue ball. Anyone ever tries to recreate that black of Steve's, if you look at it on YouTube and have a go at it, if you get the pot, you go very close to in off, up into the top left pocket. Now, imagine if it ended like that. Davis pots the black to be world champion and then starts celebrating, the cue ball goes in. That'd have been even more dramatic than it already was, if possible. John Higgins, for once there, with that positional shot where he hit the pink, clearly he just got it wrong and he didn't have complete control over the cue ball, which is unlike him. Still be pretty happy about the way he pinched the first frame, though. That's a beauty. That's a beautiful shot. How different this match could look if Oliver Brown knocks that in, having won the first. All of a sudden, the alarm bells are already ringing a little bit for John Higgins in a match like this.
Three.
Now that he's flipped that one on the way through, straight decision here. Does he play the blue into the yellow pocket, or in playing the black, the problem is he's probably going to hit that red below the black as he plays to screw it in. I feel like the red's in the way, natural angle. Well, he didn't hit the red, but he didn't pop the black either, so we're not going to be sure. Disappointing end there.
Yeah, a shake of the head from Oliver Brown. A case of what might have been so far this evening. Should really have won the first frame. The chance just gone begging in the second. This isn't easy cueing for Higgins.
And again, he wouldn't have been hoping to hit the black there. And these shots, like this next red, I feel they're very missable shots. Almost to cross the nap of the cloth into the middle and on the cushion rail. These are not a certainty, as you can see. It's one of them awkward little angles.
As good as Higgins' clearance was to pinch that opening frame after needing a couple of snookers, he's not quite settled tonight. You just get the impression from his body language that he's not entirely happy with the way he's cueing. He missed that by quite a margin, albeit it wasn't easy. Would be entirely understandable if he felt extra pressure playing in front of his home crowd. That extra desire to perform well. Mark Allen certainly experienced that at the Northern Ireland Open in the early years before he made the breakthrough. But at the moment, Oliver Brown may be still suffering the after effects of frame one.
What a chance he's given Higgins here. Yeah, it was a little bit of a untidy shot, really. Now, John thought he might actually play on the black there while he had the chance to, but he feels probably that he can chip away with the pink. Lots of options available to him.
Seven. Eight. Forty. 50. 20. 21. 24. 25.
Well, he just come round a little awkwardly here. Not the best angle on the brown. Not to get down for a red anyway. Top on right-hand side. It's taken him across there. Not perfectly on the red. Especially from underneath that cushion. These aren't much fun. 37-point lead. So red, black, or red, pink would be enough, but this is tough. I can't think you're ever going to really relish playing a shot like that, but he hit it nicely.
30.
Oliver Brown fearing the worst again. 43 left. Both reds awkward. Black out of commission. But will he even get a chance? That was the key ball to put Higgins 44 in front, 43 left. So
36.
barring a turnaround, as we saw in the first frame, it's going to be 2-0 to the home favourite. Not at his best this evening. He's made 1 or 2 errors, but good enough to extend his lead.
What he's always been very good at, John, though, he's just reading the situation. You know, he knows he hasn't got to play lights out snooker, but he knew when this chance came, he just had to get enough points. And, you know, he realises now that the pressure's already heaped on Oliver Brown, not him. What about that for a screamer? Not a shot you associate with John, but he hit it beautifully.
44. $49. $51. 54.
Higgins hasn't been as deadly
58.
of late as he's been for most of his career, but it's easy to forget. He's going to be in his 50th year next spring. We just take the greatness of these
63.
legends of the game for granted. The fact that he's performing as he is at this stage of his career is extraordinary. And the same, of course, could be said of
69.
fellow class of 92 greats, Messrs Williams and, of course, O'Sullivan. It's a tough night at the moment for Oliver Brown. He knows he should have won the first frame. He had chances in the second as well, but it's John Higgins who leads by 2 frames to 0. At Victor Scottish Open, the 10th ranking event of the season, the 8th time it's been staged as part of the home nations, and John Higgins has gone all the way to the title match twice before. He's looking to book his place in the round of 64, meeting with China's He Guo-Zhang, and he's 2-0 up on Derby's Oliver Brown. So Brown getting us underway in frame 3, having to deal with the mental scars of the first frame in particular, which he certainly should have won. And 1 or 2 chances in the second as well, but Higgins being ruthless when given the opportunity to punish. I don't think he's entirely happy with his game this evening, but he'll be more than satisfied with the score.
Yeah, for someone like Oliver Brown, you know, it's all very tight margins in a match like this. If you're going to beat John Higgins, you've got to win the frames in a position to win. And when the first frame, where John required a couple of snookers, he got that frame one, then it doesn't really bode well for anything else. Still only 2-0 down, but it's just the nature of the frames that have taken us to this point, really. Very heavy-handed for John, that. It was not well played, and Oliver Brown with another chance, albeit if he plays the top red, he'll go into the bunch. He was very much overhitting that shot. He's played the other red, so it's a good shot again. Perfectly played for the blue.
Other scores, Kyron Wilson now leads Mustafa Dorgum by 3 frames to 2. Anthony McGill 2-1 up on Oliver Lyons. Jack Lazowski 2-0 up on Mohammed Ibrahim. It's all on Discovery Plus. It's not a great table at the moment, is it, insofar as both pink and black awkwardly placed, but it's a chance nevertheless to string a few together, hopefully get some reds open from Brown's point of view. That's where you need a bit of luck. Has he had any? Doesn't look great at first viewing.
12.
No, he's played it quite well, actually. And don't forget earlier when he went in off the blue, didn't he? When he hit the bunch, not square on, went off into the left corner this time. I don't know if anything is available. Played it reasonably well also.
Oliver Brown, 12.
Well, he hit 2 balls on the way back, or the attempt to head back to bulk. Red and the pink.
And this is a better looking chance now for Brown, who opened a few reds up just now in not landing on one. He managed to release the pink in the process. Blue is obviously available, so it's not that he's not getting chances. It's a question now of taking one and getting involved in this match. Great crowd in here in Edinburgh. Second year it's been staged here, of course. Gary Wilson having lifted the title last year at the expense of Joe O'Connor and having come through earlier. A tight match against his good friend Elliot Slesser in a decider. Mark Selby, Ding Junhui and Jimmy Robertson were the other winners in the morning session. Selby the only player to have won. Oh no, well.
Oliver Brown, 6.
That's another frustrating one from Brown's point of view.
I wonder if a red goes there. Red that's below the pink. Yeah, that red you can see below the pink. John will be on that one, I think. I think the red that Oliver missed is going to be in the way. Yeah, he can get through. But it wasn't safe or anything. At the moment, John is picking up the pieces in these frames.
That applause is for Kyron Wilson, who needs some results after a pretty frustrating season for him so far. He lost that big lead at the UK Championship recently to Jamie Clark when he was 5-1 up. Four frames to two he's come through against Mustafa Dorgum.
7. Eight.
Yes, Kyron Wilson is currently in 47th spot as regards qualification for the World Grand Prix, so a lot of work to be done for him if he is to sneak into the top 32 for that event in Leicester in the new year.
$15.
And that was the best piece of cueing, I think, already in the match for John.
$22. 23. $28.
Well, he got the little kiss on the pink, but not a full ball kiss, but it was enough to get through to the red.
And it was another missed opportunity from Oliver Brown that's let Higgins in for this. He's hit a couple thick into the corner pockets this evening. And at the moment, John Higgins is picking up the pieces. He's not anywhere near his best, but he's doing what's necessary to control this match.
31.
It was an excellent clearance, a typical Higgins clearance from 60 behind after he got the snookers he needed via the free ball in the that really set the tone for this evening. Not the stuff. Now he's just looking to continue in the same vein and get this match done with maximum efficiency. And for Oliver, the frustration will be that he's had chances. Against these greats, sometimes you don't get a look in. Nothing you can do, but he has had opportunities clearly.
Well, that was a shot, and it was the worst miss, actually, I think that he's done. He's hit some good balls in this match, you know, in the first frame and a couple of shots at the start of frame two. That one he didn't hit well, and
39.
I guess the trouble is all you're thinking about sitting in a chair is missing a shot like that and then watching your opponent reap the benefits. Why snooker can be such a cruel game at times. You have plenty of time to think about that sort of mistake.
46. $47.
Higgins' second half century of the evening. 69 in the second frame.
53.
But the most important break he made was actually in the first, the 39 clearance to deny Oliver Brown after he needed 2 snookers.
54.
Yeah, resigned to being 3 down with 4 to play.
I mean, John has played hundreds of matches like this, hasn't he, where he's expected to win. Sees a little bit of weakness in his opponent and just presses on.
62.
Frame is gone now. Already a snooker, but this goes in. It's a couple of snookers and the red goes in. It's definitely 3-0.
$67. 68. $74. John Higgins.
Stays out, but it's academic. John Higgins had done more than enough with that break of 74 to extend his lead and tighten his grip on a second round place here at the Scottish Open. He leads Oliver Brown 3-0. It's been 34 months since John Higgins lifted a ranking title. Way too long for someone of his ability, but he's going nicely and eyeing a place in round 2 here in Edinburgh. 3-0 up on Oliver Brown. And really, it's been a case of Higgins punishing his opponent's mistakes, and there have been a few, including a misread in the previous frame when Brown had another opportunity to score. He did make that 60 break in the first frame, but of course that ultimately proved in vain. In the second year of his 2-year card and ranked at 95, so clearly at the outset a huge underdog, and at the moment it's playing out that way.
That'll be most welcome. He actually played a good shot, though, with the cue ball. The irony is you get a fluke when you don't necessarily want a fluke, because now what does he do? Because on a colour, the roll-up's difficult. The round to middle is... Well, he wouldn't play it unless he had no other shot. So there's a fluke that he mightn't have wanted. Look at that cue ball, perfectly played to the cushion. Unfortunately, though, he's got to play the next shot. Well, looks to be taking this on, this very tough shot, this. Trying to steer the cue ball back down to the bulk end in doing so. I suppose he'd be happy enough with that. Well, this time he had no real control of any of that. Once the pot was so wayward, everything else was in the lap of the gods. Well, not the pot, because I don't think he went for a pot, but he didn't actually hit the red onto the black as he meant to.
One. Five. Oliver Brown, 5.
Well, that's quite a thin cut, and he's got protection from 2 other reds on the one he's left over the boggin. But there is another red that he might be able to plant onto it. I don't know how it quite went in, but it did. Because he actually missed the shot, and I think maybe he got a double kiss or something, when something happened there that was a bit untoward.
Yeah, and bang behind the pink as well. Could have ended up being buried in the reds there. It's the way things go when you're winning. Equally for Oliver Brown, you don't get that rub of the green when you need it.
7.
So this looks like a very presentable chance for Higgins to potentially seal it here and now.
8.
Eventually the red dropped off that double kiss.
So, a real opportunity to put this match to bed without any real fuss. Could have been very different had the first frame gone to Oliver Brown, which certainly it should have, but since then, it's been pretty one-sided.
$29.
John Higgins has bittersweet memories of this
30.
Home Nations, twice a runner-up in this event. Of course, he made 3 Home Nations finals in the 2021-22 season, and each time he was pipped at the post. 2 up with 3 to play in Belfast against Mark Allen. Exactly the same scenario in the English Open final in Milton Keynes against Neil Robertson. Luca Brissell was a more comfortable winner
37.
in this event in 2021, 9-5. But it shows that he's still regularly going to the sharp end of these events. For him, it's just a question of getting over the line once again in one of these big tournaments.
$38.
On this evidence, there's not much wrong with his game. Yes, he's been presented with quite a few chances, which he won't get if he goes deeper in the tournament and the competition becomes stiffer. But he's cueing pretty well.
I think that with John, he can still do it, but he's not always stringing together 2,
45.
3 top performances, and that was what he always was very capable of. Sometimes following up a good day at the office with a bad day. So maybe he's not as consistent as he was, but when he's good, he can still play to a very high level.
$53.
Well, I think he is on it, and it's a question of whether we can get through to it or not. Well, it felt that he might be able to squeeze through that gap and pop the red, but if the plant's there, then I suppose that's as good, if not better.
Yeah, that might be the beginning of the end for Oliver Brown. No question that the whole tenet of this match was changed by what happened in the first frame. Brown was home and hose, really. Higgins needed 2 snookers at one stage. And had he potted that 1 extra red, which he probably should have done, and maybe just allowed his concentration to slip. This is the red in question. This would have finished the frame for sure. At the time, he couldn't have imagined that Higgins would then get the 2 snookers he needed via the free ball. It was a typically cool clearance from Higgins, and that set the tone for the night. Since then, he's managed to punish his opponent's errors. Brown has had opportunities. That'll be his frustration. But aside from that 60 break in the first frame, which ultimately was to no avail, nothing doing. in the break roster, and Higgins has been rock solid.
$76. $77.
Well, he played the dream little shot there. The match is over, but the little nudge on the yellow would have put him on the other red.
The red stays out, but the applause will tell you it's all over. Oliver Brown offers his hand. A frustrating evening, but for John Higgins, a job well done. 2 times the Scottish Open finalist. He'd love to go one step further this year. Who knows? It might just be his year once again. He sails through to the round of 64 without losing a frame. Higgins through 4-0.